Hello and welcome to a special edition of Rosary WMD, Weapon of Mass Destruction Against Satan's Lies. Thanks so much for joining. I have Paula already on the line. How are you today, Paula?
Oh, I'm excellent. Thank you. How are you, Kyle?
I'm doing really well. And for today's special presentation here at 7 o'clock, and just so you know, we will end by 8 o'clock, if not sooner. And so we will not be interrupting Sam Fisher's Rosary if you pray with him at his 8 o'clock time. For today's presentation, Paula is going to go over some research that she's done into the 1,290 days and the 1,335 days. This is also this was decoded by our very own Paula and also our very own Rosary and Scapular 555. I see we have Jerry on the chat. How you doing tonight, Jerry? We'll pray with you at 10 o'clock a little bit later tonight. And so what we have here is basically a document that Paula is going to read through. You can certainly add any questions, comments into the chat. I have moved my computer so I don't have to look quite as far to see the chat. So I'm going to be kind of monitoring the chat. You'll see the document on your screen here in just a moment. And so you can follow along with Paula as she reads it. Paula, any other introductions you want to add before we begin?
Well, sure. I just wanted to say that Rosary and Scapular, at the end of May, he had mentioned Daniel 12:12, and we had also talked about Daniel 12:11, and so some of the things that he started mentioning just sort of, it kind of got the juices going in me, and I was like, oh, I got to look into this. There's something here. There's really something here. And so he and I have collaborated off and on, and I tried to cite him in the paper as thoroughly as possible. So it was really kind of a joint effort for the most part, but I'll be presenting it tonight. And so like Kyle said, I'll just read it straight through. First of all, it takes about 10 minutes, I think, or so. And then any questions you might have. I also have some additional information from some other articles and emails that I did not incorporate into the paper because I didn't feel they were essential. So, but I will provide those as well just for additional information.
Okay. So let me go ahead and show the document, Paula.
I am ready, yes.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to do a little quick scene change here. Okay, so here is the beginning of the document. As you can see, it's 4 pages. All right, Paula, so whenever you are ready.
Okay. I just first want to say that it started out as 2 full pages, and then it grew to 3, and then it grew to 4, and that's when I said, okay, that's enough. Because what happens is sometimes you can really analyze something to the nines, and I don't think it's really necessary here. I tried to say everything that was appropriate to where the Catholic Church stands now in fulfillment of Daniel's prophecies. Specifically, we're going to be looking at Daniel chapter 12, verse 11, and verse 12 for the most part. And in those 2 verses, in verse 11, the 1,290 days are mentioned, and in verse 12, 1,335 days are mentioned. And then these become very, very prominent, you'll see. So I'll go ahead and read. In Matthew chapter 24, when asked by his disciples about his second coming and the end of the world, Jesus answered, saying, when, therefore, you shall see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place. He that readeth, let him understand. Jesus cites the prophet Daniel, and only Daniel. Remember, Daniel himself did not understand the prophecy given by Archangel Gabriel, who declined to give an explanation. This was so that the prophecy and its meaning may not be understood until these very end times. So, let's take a look at Daniel chapter 12, verse 11. And from the time when the continual sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination unto desolation shall be set up, there shall be 1,290 days. You'll notice that verse 11 refers to a length of time between two distinct events, joined by the conjunction and. Event 1, A. And from the time when the continual sacrifice shall be taken away. Drawing upon St. Thomas Aquinas, William Tapley asserts that the continual sacrifice is broken when the Eucharist is invalidated by a faulty intention of the Catholic Church, even when the other two conditions are correct: the right matter, unleavened bread, and the right words of consecration: this is my body, this is my blood. St. Thomas Aquinas makes it perfectly clear that the intention of the Church overrides that of the priest. See Tapley's Volume 4, If I Do Not Return, No Flesh Shall Be Saved, page 82. When Pope Francis signed his apostolic exhortation, Amoris Laetitia, on March 19, 2016, he established the Church's intention in footnote 351 by announcing his approval to give Holy Communion to couples living together in, quote, irregular relationships, divorced and civilly remarried, that is, in mortal sin. This directly opposes Jesus' command, "Is not that which is holy to the dogs," Matthew 7:6. Also, it contradicts his example when at the Last Supper Jesus sent Judas away before distributing Holy Communion. That is, Jesus excommunicated him, since the devil had already put into the heart of Judas to betray Jesus. So Judas was in mortal sin. See Tapley's Volume 3, Mary Will Crush the Head of the Serpent, page 204. Now for the second event. B. And the abomination unto desolation shall be set up. On October 4 of 2019, on the eve of the Amazon Synod, Pope Francis blessed and formally received Amazonian idols known as Pachamama, meaning Earth Mother, that had been set up in the Vatican gardens when he, along with other high-ranking clerics, worshipped that false goddess during the pagan ceremony there. Rosary and Scapular 555, using timeanddate.com, calculated that from March 19, 2016, which was Amoris Laetitia, to October 4, 2019, the worship of Pachamama, the result is 1,290 days plus 4 days, roughly matching the length of time prophesied in Daniel 12:11. 1,290 plus an extra 4 days to represent end times equals 1294. You break down 1294 with sacred numerology and you get 16 or 4444, and that represents ultimate end times. So there we are. We are in the ultimate end times. Moreover, what's also interesting is that when I calculated the 1290 days from when both criteria were met as of October 4, the result is April 16th, 2023, which happens to be Divine Mercy Sunday. Now let's take a look at the very next verse in Daniel chapter 12. Verse 12, Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh unto 1,335 days. Since this verse immediately follows the mention of the two criteria in verse 11, Rosary and Scapular 555 calculated 1,335 days from when both criteria were met as of October 4 and discovered the result is May 31 of 2023, which Rosary and Scapular has predicted may be the date of the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And that could fulfill Daniel 9:24, the saint of saints shall be anointed. And if you break down numerically the chapter and verse, you get 15, which represents Mary. Some other sacred numerology of the number 1,335, and you can see it breaks down to 12 for chosen, elected, possibly Mary being anointed, 13 as Fatima, and then you mirror the 35 that remains, and you get 53 for the Rosary. Rosary and scapular determine that. Or you can break it down to be God with the serpent in the middle, followed by Mary's number 5. Other intriguing observations about the numbers 1290 and 1335. 1290 and 1335 are each individually add up to 12. And if you break down 1 plus 2, you get 3 for the Trinity and wholeness. Both 1290 days and 1335 days each are about 3.5 years, symbolically representing the two halves of the 7-year tribulation, which has been shortened as promised by Jesus because of prayer, specifically the Rosary, and penance. Rosary and Scapular 555 points out that when mirrored, 3.5 years comes out to 53 for the Rosary. 1290 plus 1335 comes out to 2625, which also numerically adds up to 15 for Mary. If you take the difference between the two numbers, the 1290 and the 1335, the difference is 45 days, 1.5 months. Take away the decimal, and again, 15 for Mary. If you take the time frame between Divine Mercy Sunday in 2023 and the predicted date of the triumph of the Immaculate Heart in 2023, you also get 45 days, which comes out to 1.5 months. Take away the decimal and you get 15 for Mary. So these are very Marian numbers. Remarkably, both the number 1290 and the number 1335 appear only once in all of sacred scripture. This can only mean that the twinned events that they mention are of singular importance. As such, they represent a unique time in the history of salvation, a heretofore never experienced two-pronged attack on the Holy Catholic faith. Event A, and from the time when the continual sacrifice shall be taken away. Trying to give some credibility to Amoris Laetitia and its infamous footnote 351, Pope Francis signed his apostolic exhortation on the feast of St. Joseph, 3/19/2016, but delayed release of the document until April 4. In point of fact, however, his papal document was a triple affront to the Holy Family by means of, 1, the document itself, insulting Jesus in the Eucharist. 2, its signature date, insulting St. Joseph on his feast as husband of Mary. And 3, its public release 20 days later, insulting Mary's 20-decade rosary. Event B, and the abomination unto desolation shall be set up. Not only did Pope Francis bless and worship the Amazon idols to kickstart the Synod, but also at the concluding Mass in St. Peter's Basilica on October 27, 2019, during the offertory, he accepted the same plant potted in a bowl of Amazon dirt that he had blessed during the October 4 pagan ceremony in the Vatican Gardens. Then, relaying exact instructions, he passed the bowl to his liturgical assistant, who then obediently set it upon the high altar of St. Peter's, where it sat during the remainder of the liturgy. This was an intentional insult by Francis against our proto-pope Petrus Hermano, whose bones are in the crypt directly below the high altar. Vatican News filmed the Mass in its entirety. The plant idol was set upon the altar at precisely 56 minutes and 46 seconds into the video. Notice the obvious pair of sixes. Then add the remaining 5 and 4 to get 9. Flip the 9 180 degrees, and you get the number 6. Thus, the idol was set upon the high altar of St. Peter's at the 666 point of the Mass. The Vatican News cameraman repeatedly zoomed in on the pagan plant during the rest of the solemn liturgy as if it were holiness itself. Since then, with COVID as his cover, Francis has not celebrated Mass at the high altar of St. Peter's Basilica. Instead, he conducts Mass at the altar of the chair of St. Peter, used for smaller gatherings, which is situated behind the high altar. Undoubtedly, Francis doesn't want to offend the goddess Earth Mother ever since he gave her sole possession of the most sacred altar on earth. Thus, the abomination unto desolation that was begun on October 4, 2019, the eve of the Amazon Synod, was consummated on October 27, 2019, at the Synod's closing Mass. Furthermore, on March 25, 2020, the Solemnity of the Annunciation, the 2020 Pontifical Yearbook was published. Francis caused scandal when in it he refused the title Vicar of Christ, another insult to the office of St. Peter. Note that from the first offense against St. Peter on October 27 to his second offense on March 25th of 2020 is 150 days, which is the number for the Rosary. In conclusion, as a just consequence, a universal chastisement of mankind was permitted by God, the COVID pandemic. From the Vatican down, the Catholic Church conformed to government-issued mandates restricting the faithful's access to the sacraments. Without shame, bishops around the world were bowing to the demands of the state and spiritually abandoning their flocks. All too clearly, we now understand the plaintive question posed by our Lord in Luke 18:8. But yet the Son of Man, when he cometh, shall he find, think you, faith on earth? And then finally, from Revelation 22:15, without are dogs and sorcerers and unchaste and murderers and servers of idols, and everyone that loveth and maketh a lie. The end.
Well, thank you very much, Paula. Wonderful research.
Thank you.
I'm looking at the chat. It's a little quiet. I don't see any questions so far.
Okay. It's a lot to absorb. Well,
yes.
What I can do is I can just hit upon some of those other items that I wanted to just touch base on.
Okay.
That would be okay.
Sure, I can keep it up. I went back to my video, but I can keep up the document if you want to go to a particular part of the document. That's okay. So let me just keep it up.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. All right. Well, Rosary and Scapular, he had sent me an email on May 31st, and he had said, good news, we are onto something, as you noted earlier. And he says, I kept thinking earlier today about today's date, and it was 5/31/21, and its relationship to the 1,335 days noted in Daniel 12:12. I was thinking the 21 in the date for the year could be added to 2 + 1 is 3, and it would give all the numbers that you would need to create the 1,335 in the Daniel 12:12. And then he's the one who had discovered that it was the 1,335 days were between the Pachamama worship and the projected triumph of the Immaculate Heart. So that was really, that just got me going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I also want to say something very interesting. The idols, after the eve of this Amazon Synod, when they had worshipped the idols in the Vatican gardens, they were then put on display during the Synod. They were put on display in the Carmelite Church of Santa Maria in Transpontina, which comes from the Latin for over the bridge. So it's near the bridge over the Tiber. But they were displayed in the Santa Maria. Obviously, it was a diabolical affront to the Blessed Virgin Mary. Inside that church, there is a Madonna and Child statue over the entrance. And that bridge was the bridge where the Austrian Catholic Alexander Tschuggel, Schugel, he and his friend had thrown several of the Pachamamas that were in the Carmelite Church into the bridge, into the river from the bridge. The idols, unfortunately, were later retrieved by the police and returned to the Vatican. They were not brought back to Santa Maria, thank goodness. And then, and Rosary and Scapula had also pointed out that the Pachamama worship was on the Feast of St. Amoris Laetitia was signed on the Feast of St. Joseph. So that jumped out at me too. And he also, I had noticed that what's interesting is the 1,290 days from the 10/4/2019. Well, I was just thinking, from the 10/4/2019, the Pachamama, that it's also the year 2019 is a mix of the 1,290 days.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's fair. Wow. Okay. So, well, I don't see any questions. So we'll just have to quiz everybody tomorrow and just make sure that they ace the test.
Hey, Paula, I just thought of this. We didn't make this available to anyone. I just uploaded it to my Dropbox.
Yeah.
And I can add it to the description of this video, a link to it, if that's okay. I wanted to make sure.
Oh, yeah, that would be fine. Yeah.
So I'll add
there's a lot to absorb here. And I'm sure Mr. Tapley's going to go over it with a fine-tooth comb.
Well, he just said he doesn't need to do another video.
A link.
Mr. Tapley just wrote in the chat, I don't need to do another video.
Oh.
Very well done, Paula.
Mr. Tapley. Thank you.
I did. Now, if you're on the chat right now, or on the video, you would more than likely have to hit reset. But a link to this document, if you'd like to print it out, a hard copy, should be in the description right now. But like I said, you probably will have to hit refresh for it to show up. I can also put it into my Dropbox area under the About section. That might take a little bit more time. But yeah, I just thought of that. We usually do that when we do a presentation. We have it available for people to download, because we have a lot of people who are very, want that hard copy. I'm very much like that too. I like to have it printed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so write on it, highlight.
Write notes and draw arrows from one thing to another.
Post-it notes and things like that. But
there is a lot here, and my whole point of wanting... Well, first of all, Scott had wanted me to do the presentation, but then he blew town. He wanted me to do it on his show, but we ran out of time. He ran out of time, and I ran out of time. So then he said, well, see if Kyle wants to do a live. And I said, okay. So, I mean, I would have just done a paper, but Scott really wanted me to do a live program. So I'm just, I'm just cooperating.
Yeah.
So I hope he's enjoying his vacation with his wife.
Oh, that's sweet.
So, yeah, there's a lot here. But the whole thing was, the more I worked on it, the more I realized how monumental it was.
Mm-hmm.
That it's the absolute complete fulfillment of Daniel chapter 12, verse 11 and 12. It's just unbelievable. And I thought, Mr. Tapley, I know you're still on. I thought, I had done this back on, what's the date, 6/5. I've had this for a while, but I've been tweaking it a little bit here and there. And then you did your program this morning, and you were talking, and it was like, you were saying everything that I had in my paper. I'm like, okay, well, he's giving the warm-up act. And so I think, great minds think alike, right, Mr. Tapley?
I'm having a little bit of trouble putting it in the About section. For some reason, sometimes it gives me, it says the link is invalid, so I'll have to do a little more working on that.
You may have to wait till after the live stream.
But it should, I can check myself to see if it's in the description box. Yes, the link should be in the description box, but like I said, you will have to probably hit refresh on your browser, and you'll see it at the very top. It says Dropbox. I guess I should put also a title there.
Now, are you giving me that direction to refresh my screen?
No, I'm giving that to other people who don't have a copy of it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to add a little, because it's just the link at the very top of the description of the video. But I'm going to add like a little title for it too.
Well, I want to say thank you again to Rosary and Scapular 555, because his comments and his emails and his findings really put a fire under me to really tackle this in a very methodical and thorough way.
Yeah,
so
and
God bless you, Rosary and Scapular 555.
Yeah, that's how it's kind of been working here recently. One person puts out an idea, and then another one kind of grabs onto it and goes with it. And
it's a team effort, right, Hailstone?
Yes, very much a team effort, for sure. Okay, I'm going to head back to the video here. So as I said, if you hit refresh, it should now say 1,290 days and 1,335 days, Decode by Paula and R&S 555, which is Rosary and Scapular. And then right underneath that title is a hyperlink that you can click, and it should allow you to download, print off this 4-page document. Really well done, Paula and Rosary and Scapular 555. Thank you so much for your hard work and dedication on that.
Oh, well, thank you. And Kyle, thank you for hosting this live stream.
No problem.
Much appreciated by both me and Scott. And I also want to give a shout out to both Mr. Tapley and Sam Fisher for their advertising, their very thorough advertising of this presentation, especially today, so that people would remember, the closer it is to the presentation to do a reminder, the better. So I really appreciate that. You were both a couple of dolls, Ken dolls, of course, but you were both a couple of dolls.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. We had quite a few people, I think 17 or 20 people on the live stream at this unusual hour. Usually we're not here at 7 o'clock. Yeah, so. And
the good thing is I appreciate you putting it on your playlist for Decodes too, so that they can, check it out later if they want to, or recommend it to families and friends.
Once it shows up on which a live stream usually shows up, so you can, add it to a playlist pretty quickly after it after the stream, so I can add that to the playlist, give it a title. Well, I already have a title for it, but it will be found in the Decode section of my channel, so you can go back and watch it again. She did a really good job reading it, Paula. I know you were practicing.
Thank you. I had a glass of water here just in case, in case I started getting a frog in my throat or coughing.
All right.
But I was going to say one other thing. I don't know. I just went out of my brain. But thank you, everyone. I guess people will just, they'll study it, and maybe it'll be a springboard for conversation at some point. Maybe we'll have to revisit it and do a part 2. God, I hope not. But anyway, anyways, I love you all. Thank you for showing up and watching our video, and God bless you all.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Paula. Bye-bye. God bless. Okay, so just a reminder, I will be back on. I am filling in for Scott Fox, so we are doing double duty. And today is Tuesday, so that means Mr. Tapley did the Sorrowful Mysteries. Sam, in about a half an hour, will be doing the Glorious Mysteries. So on my channel, we will be doing the Joyful and the Luminous Mysteries. Again, we're filling in for Scott Fox through Wednesday. And so we are not doing a separate live stream at 11:30. We are just, Jerry G and myself are just going to do 2 mysteries, one after the other. So look forward to seeing you guys in about, 2.5 hours here at 10 o'clock on the East Coast. So thank you again for joining. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Rosary and Scapular 555. And with that, I think we can go ahead and end the stream. Thanks again, everyone. We'll see you at 10 o'clock, God willing. All right. May God bless you all.